goal. He could be too far. No, he's digging. Oh, what a catch.
Puts a spicy forehand out in front of Naomi Morsilla.
Woo for the win. Team Canada. Darren Woo.
Santos with the layout grab.
Oh, that fantastic grab. The claws of Chaffer.
Canada just became the world champions.
Yo, Canada and the rest of the world. You're listening to the Huckin podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Theo Wan from Toronto, Ontario.
And I'm Danie Proby. I'm from Vancouver, BC. And we are your coast-to-coast guide to all things Canadian Ultimate. Speaking of Ultimate, Theo, you've been playing some Ultimate. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I've been in a couple of different practices and played a couple games on the weekend. And just, it's nice to get back out. I won't be doing as much playing actually during the quote-unquote season because of some other obligations involving some commentating, which we'll talk about in the main segment. But it's just nice to be out seeing people that you haven't seen for a while. And, you know, you play some Ultimate, but then you also play my other favorite thing to do, which is bring out the spike ball set there. So it's good to do a little bit of both. And, yeah, we're doing a really short kind of intro here because we're going to go right into the news again because, as we mentioned last week, Danie, Ultimate is back. We mentioned Club Adult last week. This week, we're going to talk a little juniors. Something near and dear to Danie's heart is coaching the juniors, coaching Dynamo, as I like to say, along with playing. So we're going to head to the news right now and learn about what happened in BC this past weekend.
We now have breaking news.
Welcome to the news section. So as Theo had alluded to, there was a juniors tournament this weekend. It was amazing. Rolled up to the field. There's jerseys. There's cones being put out. There's tents being put up. It was like the pandemic never happened. I swear. It felt so good to be back. And I had the privilege of being able to coach a really, really young team. And these are kids that I've been working with for a few years. And a lot of them, maybe they started with us when they're 8 or 9. And so they're still not very old. Like the majority of them are grade 8 and grade 9. But we do have a grade 6 and a few grade 7s on the team too. And they're playing against grade 12s and sometimes 2020 grads as well. So we are called the Elevate Ducks. Go Duckies. Super cute. Our goal going to this tournament was to try to get some points, but we ended up winning a game on Saturday. It was the final game. We had that moment where we caught it to seal the win. Everyone rushed the field. It was amazing. Check out my Instagram. There's a photo of it. Great moment. And it kind of tells the story of kind of why this tournament was a little bit weird this year because the team that we beat was Eclipse. And if you know anything about Juniors Ultimate, you'll know that Eclipse is supposed to be the top team out of BC. They're really, really strong. That's the team you want to be on if you're a talented junior in this province. And so what kind of happened this year, because there is no CUCs and there's no like nationals goal, the coaching staff for the Misfit program decided that Eclipse would be the team for all the grade 12s and the people that don't make mischief. So all of the grade 11s and younger that would be eligible for next year's CUCs, if they were good enough, they made mischief. So this year, Mischief was the team to beat, and Eclipse had definitely strong players, but it was either the older players or the players that weren't quite strong enough to make Mischief. So it was a bit of a weird mix. And so this Mischief team, lots of Elevate kids, shout out to all of them. They had a lot of bageled games. Like, they bageled us. They bageled in the finals. It was insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, can you say that again for the audience? Because maybe they thought that the recording skipped or something, you know, like a skipped or dropped cell phone signal. Did you say that, like, the one team that won in the junior women's finals was 13-0? Like, it was 13-0 or 15-0, whatever that looked like? Is that true?
I'm pretty sure it was 13-0.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So why is that happening? That doesn't make sense in the finals.
Well, a lot of the times, like, you do want to play for the top team. So a lot of the times these top teams draw the best athletes from other regions. There's definitely people from the North Shore that are on that team. And a lot of these people have been training during the pandemic, whereas people from other teams maybe haven't been playing as much in the off season. So as I alluded to before, there's a lot of Elevate kids on these teams too. Like at least half of Mischief we were coaching throughout the year. So they've just all been playing more. And so because they stacked that team, it ended up just being that they don't really have any real competition in the province. So I'm not sure if I were to do it, maybe I would have done it differently, but it is pretty fun to watch that group of young athletes play together because you know that they're going to be playing top teams, maybe some U20 athletes there this next round too. It's fun to see them fly on the field.
Yeah, fly, 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 as they say. And what about Junior Open? Can you recap what happened there? You said there was a bagel in the junior women. So do you know, I mean, you're kind of focused on the Elevate Ducks, so you might not even know what's been going on over there in the Junior Open. But what was that like?
On the open side, it was very loud. There was a lot of bids, a lot of rush in the field, a lot of booming voices. I think it was very exciting. Their tournament format was a little bit different. They had 9 teams, and so they were actually doing a round robin the whole time. So there were no finals, I believe. And their Eclipse team was a lot of grads from last year, I'm pretty sure. So their Eclipse team was stacked. I know that on the sideline, they were like making fitness points for every single time this Eclipse team got scored on. They earned like a fitness point or something. Like they were getting in like trouble, quote unquote, from their coaches. Like they should not be getting scored on at all, kind of thing for the whole tournament. So definitely Eclipse was looking strong. But yeah, again, lots of Elevate athletes out there. Shout out.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually leads me to another question, unplanned here. So I'm spurring this on Danie right now. But are there discrepancies in juniors in terms of like, or maybe less parity, I should say, in terms of like the point difference? You're saying one team is expecting to not even really get scored on. Is that like pretty common in the junior scene? That like some teams are just that much more dominant than some of the other teams, like that they're not even expected to lose some points?
Yeah, sometimes, especially the top teams, but there does seem to be a few more upsets when you go kind of the second and third team down in the various regions. Like you'll see Mischief and sometimes Rolling Thunder, which is the third regional team for juniors in Vancouver. Sometimes they will flip-flop and stuff like that, but usually the top team stays the top. There's that one year where Misfit beat Alpha. I think this was their name that year.
Yeah, it's junior women's.
Yeah, and so that doesn't happen that often. And so, yeah, you do see blowouts, but you don't see blowouts like you saw this weekend. That was special.
Okay, so a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. But we're going to stay here on the West Coast for the news.
Yeah.
Rosters dropping. I know, so we're going to talk a little bit about East Coast later, but rosters dropping out there on the West Coast, specifically in your city of Vancouver. So kind of summarize, well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Danie because she's on what we call the extended tryout for Traffic. So,
oh, wow. Thanks.
Yeah, so Danie didn't pay me to say this. I'm just saying. So Traffic, if you're listening, captains, put Danie on the team. Let's go. We're excited to see that. Yeah. Maybe we'll start a Google form or something. I don't know. But summarize the rosters there, Danie, because you have some knowledge of kind of all the teams, really. So
Traffic's roster dropped a while ago. I'm excited to try out because I missed the tryouts because with my family, family things, and they were really kind and allowed me to kind of come back when I was ready. So I've been going to some practices. So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna work really hard. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, Furious's roster dropped a couple of days ago, and what's interesting about that is that they picked up quite a few new young players that I think were originally planning on playing for Red Flag, and so there was a little bit of Red Flag was kind of having to wait and see what was happening with Furious, and so I think Red Flag's roster maybe shifted around a little bit. Like they picked up some old Furious players, and Furious picked up some young Red Flag players, especially on the men's side. Not too much, obviously, between Furious and Flag on the women's side, but between Traffic and Flag, there was some pickups as well. So yeah, the Red Flag roster also was just dropped. Blackfish's invites have gone out, and by the time this airs, that roster will be dropped. And not too many exciting things. I'd say on Furious, Yuchi Lin is a name that I think is really exciting that he's made Furious. He's young. He's been doing a U24 training group with me, and he's awesome UBC player. And also Ricky McLeod, he's awesome. He always wins all of the fitness things. He's like the most springy human being I've ever met. So I'm really proud of both of them for making Furious. It's gonna be a solid roster. They're young, they're fun. They also got a lot taller. We got Devin and Philip, who are like these two twin towers from they've been playing together forever, and they're both giants. So Furious got a lot bigger.
Yeah, and we're excited to see what Furious does. And got to give a quick plug for Traffic's roster, because they were able to get an out-of-towner that we've had on our podcast on a Beaver Tales. So who was that made Traffic out-of-towner? Not from the province, but she got on the roster.
So interestingly enough, when we had Sarah on, I just liked her vibe so much, and I liked her story. And I was like, you know what? I feel like, I know Traffic usually picks up like Terry and Paula from Calgary. And I was like, why wouldn't they pick up another person that's an out-of-towner? Like, Sarah's tall, like a really, really great receiver, great teammate. And I knew that they were asking about other players. And I had mentioned Sarah and got a reference for Sarah. So Sarah, if you're listening to this, you're welcome. I like IPAs. I like milkshakes, donuts, candy. So super excited to have Sarah on that roster. I'm excited to see her play tournaments with Traffic. That's going to be great.
Yeah, we're excited as well here on the podcast. So, rosters dropping. Unfortunately, we're not seeing rosters drop out where I am in Ontario, and that's what we're going to talk about quickly or briefly here on the news segment. Tryouts are happening as we speak. As the podcast is being recorded, and when it comes out, multiple teams here will be running tryouts. And so you'll start to see some rosters potentially for that, with a tournament happening in mid-August. So Ultimate Experience planning to host a tournament, a really aptly named, I believe it's Nationals is the way it's said, but basically not Nationals. And they've run it before for teams that haven't made mixed Nationals, for example. So this will be kind of cool to see what happens. Will this be an early season club tournament, or kind of really mid-season, because it'll be a couple months or maybe a month before Nationals happen. So it might just be the only tournament that a lot of these Ontario teams can play at. So we'll see what happens with that. But Danie, that kind of concludes our news segment, right? That's pretty much what we got for you today. If you have a tournament that we just didn't hear about, and I know, for example, FQU hosted one, if you want to send us that, you can DM us, social media, email, hucking@ultiworld.com. You can put it in the group chats as well. But that concludes our news today. Not too much in terms of tournaments happening, but Juniors tournament happened. Elevate Ducks got a big dub, so we got to celebrate that. And right now we're going to hear from our sponsor that's based out of Vancouver, BC, and Be Ultimate. And then we're going to head to our main event where we talk AUDL Canada Cup stuff with three players, Kevin Quinlan, Geoff Powell, and Nick Boucher. Excited to have them on. So that will be after this sponsor shout out. This episode is brought to you by Be Ultimate Apparel. Based out of Vancouver, BC, Be Ultimate is climate neutral certified and designs products that are built to perform. I personally love my two Be Ultimate Sun hoodies, and I rock them wherever I go. If you want to learn more about Be Ultimate, start your custom team order, or check out any of their ready-for-purchase collection, you can head over to beultimate.ca.
Salut, c'est Nina Prévost d'Iris Ultimate et de Team Canada, et vous écoutez le podcast Huckin, votre guide d'un océan à l'autre pour Ultimate Canadien.
We're back here, main event. We just heard from our sponsor, Be Ultimate. Shout out to them. And now we got our AUDL Canada Cup preview going on. We got representatives from the three teams, Montreal Royal, Ottawa Outlaws, Toronto Rush. Pretty stoked to have them on here. So we're going to have each person introduce themselves. What team do they play for, if you can't tell from some of their jerseys that they're wearing, if you're not watching the YouTube version. And we're going to just hear about what team they play for, how long they've been playing in the AUDL. So we'll start off with Montreal. Let's go there.
Hi, Kevin Quinlan. I play for the Montreal Royal. I've been playing, how many years? 2012 was my first year, so it's the max of the amount of years. You want to know my story about it too? So originally I played for the Buffalo Hunters back in 2012. Franchise doesn't exist anymore, but so we moved to Rochester after the first year. We came the Rochester Dragons. We lasted 3 years. I think we had 3 strong years in Rochester there. And then that franchise folded, and then I made the move up to Canada, to Quebec, and now I've been playing for the Montreal Royal since 2016.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's a long time AUDL legend right there.
I feel like there's a lot to dive into there.
Especially the time with the Buffalo Hunters, but
I've never
that might have to be a
team.
whole separate episode. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a one-off. It's a one-off, right? 1 year. So, anyways, we'll go to Ottawa now.
Right, yeah. Nick Boucher from the Ottawa Outlaws. I've been playing with them since their inception in 2015, and been playing with them ever since. So that's 5 years now.
Nice.
Not quite as wild as Quinlan's story, but loyalty.
Hey, team loyalty. That's a good thing. And speaking of team loyalty, we got a long-time player for Toronto. So why don't you introduce yourself there?
Yeah, hi, I'm Geoff Powell. I play for the Toronto Rush, and I've been playing for the Rush since 2013, so our inaugural season like Boucher. And we've been AUDL champions in 2013 and almost perennial championship weekend until 2019. And we're excited to get back and plan this year.
Fascinating. I'm so excited to hear from all of you because, as everyone who's listening probably knows, I'm from the West Coast and we did dabble in Pro Ultimate for a bit. And it's we had the Nighthawks and the MLU, and then for the AUDL we had the Riptide. Rip to the Tide. So excited to hear from you three because I feel like I'm totally out of the loop. So let's start with Kevin, and we'll go in the same order again, but I'd like to hear from you all what your own experience has been like playing in the AUDL. Like, what do you like about it? What is it like to go to game day? Like, how is it different from regular Ultimate?
Yeah, I mean, the beginning of the AUDL, it was kind of just like I was in college. I think it was my freshman year of college, and they just started this league. And we were like, oh, we got to just go try out. And it really wasn't that hype or that exciting because, I mean, we weren't playing for anyone. Maybe our parents would show up, and we were like paying our own gas or going to the games and stuff. But then, like every year, it seemed to progressively get bigger and more exciting, more people in the fans and or in the stands. Sorry. But then, yeah, it's been more of a spectacle each year, so it's been more exciting to play.
Awesome. All right, Nick.
Yeah, so I mean, 5 years now in the AUDL, you get a pretty good taste for it. I think that playing in front of the fans obviously has been sort of like the primary thing, and all the even just the like coverage that you get on TV and whatnot, I think helps, your family, friends, whoever get to see you a lot more. Because when you played tournaments, you wouldn't really have any exposure to anyone else who you wanted to have watch your games or anything like that. So that's been obviously super, super exciting. The game style itself obviously is very different. You only get to play a game or two games every weekend, which I think helps the body a little bit in some ways. Instead of those grueling 7-8 game weekends, you just get to really focus on one game only. I think that's something that I've definitely appreciated out of it. And then, just getting to do the road trips and getting to go see different cities all the time rather than, again, just sitting at a tournament field for the whole weekend have all been, things I've really cherished about the AUDL.
And finally?
Yeah, I think I'll echo some of the things that Boucher said. I think the format of the AUDL is that we play like single games. I think that's really interesting about the AUDL. Versus the tournament format and maybe some other Ultimate. I guess there's not as much preparation and game planning. It's kind of like football where you play like one or two games, I guess, a week, and you can game plan for those games. So that's pretty exciting. And then also, the fact that we can play in front of fans and our home crowd and people from our city. You tell people, I play Ultimate, I go to these tournaments here, there, and everywhere. Then they don't really know what it looks like, what the experience is like, and the professional experience is pretty entertaining, I guess, for them to kind of see it on the big stage. So I think that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, cool.
And our next question, you talking about fans. Obviously, in 2019, we got lots of fans in the stands for all the teams here being featured. And so it's been a while, right? People might have forgot what happened all the way back in 2019. So we're going to get each person to summarize what the season was like for your team in 2019. So we'll just start with the same order. Let's get it going. Kevin Quinlan, what was Montreal's season like in 2019?
2019. We were pretty happy with how that season went. I think we ended up with 3 1-point losses. That kind of put us in a spot that I think we would have been playoff contending towards the end of the season there if we had been on the other side of that. But overall, we were pretty happy with it. It's hard to remember. It feels like forever ago. But a lot of great games, a lot of great memories from that year.
And did you do anything in 2020? That was the other second part of that question that I forgot to ask earlier. Did you do anything during the pandemic with your team?
I mean, we were gearing up as if the season was going to happen. I don't think it got like fully canceled until maybe halfway through when the season should have started. But yeah, we were practicing. We were starting practices. We had a new coach. We were gearing up. We were ready to go. I think we had maybe 2 or 3 practices before the cancel.
Okay. And what about Ottawa there, Nick Boucher?
Right, yeah. So 2019, I think we went 3-9, sort of par for the course for the Outlaws the past couple of years. But we had, I think, a lot of like success. Again, it's been sort of like a bit of a rebuild for a couple of years now. I think with the 9 losses, again, like Quinlan mentioned, I think we also lost 4 games by like 2 or 3. So we were at least competitive in every single game, which I think was a positive that you could take out of it, even if you're not getting the win. So overall, I think it was obviously not what you're going for, but you had some successes that we could build on going into 2020. And then as 2020 went on, like Quinlan mentioned, I think we were, out of practice or running sprints or something when you got the news that, Gobert and all the NBA and stuff shut down. And then we were in limbo for maybe 4 months. Thinking that they were going to try to restart it later in the year. So with the, restrictions and all that, we had to pause probably practice for 4 months. But in July through September, as a sort of team pseudo Outlaws, we were able to practice once, twice a week to at least get some reps in, and then a little bit throughout the fall. And then obviously the lockdown hit again. And then we had to sort of cut cold turkey till, May. So.
And in 2019, I remember specifically the big loss to the Rush. There was like a 1-point buzzer beater. Geoff knows what I'm talking about. Cam with the grab. That was a pretty epic game. So you're definitely in those games. So really excited to see what happens here in the Canada Cup. And so, Geoff, what was the season like for Toronto? You mentioned perennial division winners, but not so in 2019 there.
No, that was a bit of a different year for us. And yeah, like Kevin and Nick, you guys mentioned like 1-point losses and really close games. Like I feel like that was like our scrappiest year yet. We had a bit of roster turnover from like 2017, 2018, had some like new young kids come in. And yeah, it was definitely maybe not our deepest team. But yeah, we got into a lot of dogfights that year. And yeah, I think one of the highlights was definitely winning that playoff game against DC. Late, a very close game, and then like coming, I think that like game that we had against New York in the championship, the East Championship was a really good one, but it's tough to play that back to back when they had that rest the first day.
Right. For sure.
And then in terms of like what we did last year, I think it was more cold turkey for us here in Toronto with the pandemic situation.
Yeah.
We were kind of waiting to see what would happen. Field permits didn't really open up until August, and I think we had like 3 or 4 practices maybe. And then we were hard pressed to find permits for the rest of the season. So it was kind of like a wait and see situation mostly for us here in Toronto.
I was going to say that back in the 2019, though, I forgot there was like a good month and a half of like team Skype or what's it called, Zoom workouts and getting used to like, hey, the season might happen, so we all got to really stay in shape for this. That was brutal.
Yeah. I feel like that a lot of people can resonate with that are listening to hear like trying to keep people motivated to work out via Zoom. It's tough. But all that's in the past now. So looking into 2021, what is your teams looking like for this season? How have you been preparing? What's going on for 2021 in your teams? Let's reverse the order. Let's start with Bomber this time.
Ooh. Yeah, I think we have like almost an identical roster to what we would have released last year. But, we've had a few practices this year and, there doesn't look to be as much rest as I thought. Like we're all looking pretty good out there. I think people have done their best to keep in shape. And we have a lot of, a few young players that have been joining the team that look pretty sharp as well to fill in the depth in the roster. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to get back on the field. And yeah, we're looking pretty good.
Okay.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, similar to what Bomber said, I think most of our team is, back from what would have been the 2020 season. Very few additions. We didn't really hold full tryouts, so a couple additions maybe here or there for guys who couldn't commit this season compared to last. But for the most part, team's been together for now what has been almost like a year of at least a little bit of practicing, as you mentioned, which has been really helpful because I think our team is quite young. We had a lot of turnover. I think the pandemic adds that extra year of age to those guys who are 32, 33, 34, and then, all of a sudden it turns into retirement. So we definitely had some of that. So our roster is probably as young as it's ever been. But looking out to what we've sort of had so far as a lead up, it's actually been longer for the most part than we usually get because it's still winter and we start in April and we get, a couple indoor practices and that's it. And then we usually play. So the month buildup has been nice for everyone to get their legs back. But I think it was really encouraging to see how excited everyone just was to play again. That burnout was kind of gone from playing year over year. And it was sort of like practice. You can feel an added energy that I think is going to, spill over to the games and going to be really helpful for this summer.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, so I think in Quebec we had a little bit better than Ontario because we've been practicing for a little while. In pods, we were able to do groups of 8 with masks on. So my lungs have been working real hard, but I think we had that for maybe like a month, and then we finally got out into doing like full 7-on-7s. But yeah, the roster is looking quite young. We had a lot of French guys that had to go back to France. We had some guys like Kev Grew, who is taking the year off. He's had some back injuries. So we did make a younger roster this year, but we got a pretty big splash with a new head coach, which is pretty exciting from your side of town there in Vancouver. So that's been pretty cool. But yeah, everyone it's funny because we had a lot of these younger guys who were super excited, ready to go in the 2020 season and have been like waiting forever to play. And then they got shut down, and then coming back this year, they're even more excited and eager to show what they got.
Yeah, Kevin, I feel like that's one of the storylines maybe to watch for early in the season. I know Bomber and Nick, you mentioned you've been practicing, but obviously being in Ontario, we've had a little bit more restrictions. So it'll be interesting to see which team kind of, as you kind of feel each other out the first couple of games, which team has less rust. So one of the storylines to watch out for sure. But now we're going to go in the same reverse order that Danie already started. But now we're going to give a chance for the audience to hear about some players that maybe don't get featured, on AUDL TV or on the highlights as much, or maybe the rookies that people haven't heard of. And so you get a chance to give some shine to a couple players, put their name out there. Maybe they'll have a breakout season, and we'll hear more about them. So Geoff, Bomber, as you're known, who are you going to shout out for the rush there? A couple players that you're hoping to break out.
Yeah, I guess one player on O that I'm pretty excited about this year is Sparkles. So Jason Twine, he has traditionally played defense, and now we moved him over to the O-line this year. So really excited for that. Super talented player, a lefty, so he's really shifty, hard to cover, and yeah, really looking forward to having him on the O-line. I think he's going to do really awesome. Traditionally just played on D. He's gotten a lot of Ds for us and really important on the turn. So he's going to be a good young player for us on the O-line. And then on the D-line, I mentioned some of the young guys before. Like we have added some height on the D-line too. We have a young guy, Eli Park, who is, I don't even know how tall he is. Maybe he's pushing 6'4", maybe 6'3", 6'4". He's pretty tall. And then we have the Lewis brothers, Wilkie and James, which I think are going to cause a lot of confusion on the field because I don't know. I've been in a situation where I've confused the two definitely before, so we were hoping the offense will confuse them as well.
Yeah, and it's funny because right now the other teams, they're going to listen in and maybe a little bit of scouting happening, trying to scout out these breakthrough players. But we'll give a shout out to Eli Park. Actually went to my alma mater, my high school, Humberside Collegiate. So got to throw a quick shout out for that. Right. And so Nick, you're up. Ottawa, who we got to watch out for?
Right. Following the same sort of theme, I think like a guy who's been on the team for a while and been a key piece in Ottawa for a while, Matt O'Brien. He's probably been our best defender, covering their ace cutter for most of the time. Doesn't really probably get any shine with that position all often. You don't get too much while you're playing good defense against elite players. So a guy who probably this year, again, with some losses of some veteran players, will have to step into a much bigger role both on offense and defense. So he'll probably be playing sort of on both sides of the disc, and look for him to sort of contribute offensively much more than you'd be seeing him contribute sort of in past years. And then on the flip side, another guy who he was a rookie last year and, got his feet wet with a couple games, but really is sort of like this young guy who's been progressing really quickly, Jonah Munoz. He's probably going to be a D-line handler anchor for us this year, where a guy who might have only had a couple touches in past years is going to be a guy who's going to be, looking to pick up discs, really, piloting the offense on turns, who I think will be put into a bigger role and, is poised to succeed in it.
All right. Good shout outs. And Montreal, any rookies or players we got to watch out for there, Kevin?
I'll say one rookie, Elliot Alwar, who's on the U24s. His size alone is impressive, and he's going to be kind of quarterbacking our D-line this year. Man, he's been a Royal fan forever, and he's been working so hard to get to this point. I'm so excited for him to finally get this opportunity to show what he's got. And another U24 guy is Vincent Lemieux, who's not a rookie. He's been playing for a while, but kind of had a breakout, what do you want to call it, season with the U24 circuit, and kind of bringing that swagger back to the Royal. Really excited to see what he's going to be doing for offense with his huge bombs and just swagger.
Yeah, Kevin, you brought up an interesting point about the fandom, because I know, Bomber, there's someone on the Rush that has been a fan and went to all the games and is now playing on the Rush. And why don't you share who that is? Because I think that actually helps them kind of want to make the team and then really try to make an impact, right? Because they've seen it. And that's something with the AUDL, as you mentioned earlier, is that since you've been able to go as a fan and watch in the stands, it's not like tournaments. You can actually become a fan and work and motivate you. So who's that there on the Rush that you can shout out as well?
Oh, man. I think you put me in a sticky situation here because I'm not even sure who that is.
Yeah, he got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's been coming to the games for a while now. And then now that he's on the team, it's been awesome. He's a real, study of the sport, too. So it's awesome to have him on the team. And his family's huge supporters, too, still. So.
Yeah, I mean, their son's on the team now, so it's even more amazing. Nick, is there anyone like that in Ottawa that kind of has grown up as a junior, kind of really wanted to be on the Outlaws and is finally there?
Yeah, we had a fair amount of kids who graduated from juniors literally the year before when it all ended. So probably 6 or 7 guys on the team this year were juniors and have been sort of coming to at least some capacity of games. One guy, I guess, in particular would be Ian Wallace. So his brother was on the team last year. And practice roster, I think, the year before. So he's been sort of watching the circuit for a while now, and he just got out of junior. So he's another guy sort of that just has been around the Outlaws for quite a while before playing.
There you go. You could go from fan to a contributor on one of these teams. You never know. So for those listening, don't let the dream die, So, Danie, I'll let you ask the last question, the spicy one, though. I don't know if it's really a question, but entering that segment.
I'm going to start the question, but I want you to finish it because I feel like this is more your realm, Theo. And everyone's been playing really nice so far, and so we really appreciate how much spirit y'all are bringing to this episode. But I think like Theo brought you all on because you all apparently have a reputation for being able to throw really wonderful shade. And so we kind of want to open it up for a little bit more of a trash talking sequence. But Theo, I would like for you to expand a little bit upon the rules of this trash talking.
Well, because I've seen before, for example, if one team, a mayor from one city bets the mayor of the other city, and then the loser has to I think it was Doug Ford who had to wear a Montreal Canadiens jersey, which is which Kevin is pointing to. So I know we were talking about this off air, but Bomber would very much hate to have to wear something Montreal related, I'm pretty sure. So that's an example of what you can throw out. Maybe it's you'll get more goals than someone else in this podcast here or something like that. So we'll kind of open it up to whoever wants to start.
I mean, I'm happy with that. I got the jersey ready to go. Coming off a great season here. I just got my Suzuki jersey, so.
He's maybe one of the more tolerable players on the team.
Tolerable,
too, so
perfect.
Might not be the worst. I have an Austin Matthews jersey, and I have a old William Nylander jersey I can offer up too. So even I can, after we beat both of you, I can give each one of you a Toronto jersey.
You know, I actually am a Leafs fan, so I love that. I'd take it and run, and then you'd never see me again. So I don't have any Sens jerseys to offer up, unfortunately, but...
Okay, well, I guess I can bring my Josh Allen jersey as well to put on. You guys, like, I don't know, I got to do something there.
Yeah, Quinlan, have you always been a Habs fan, or when you defected from Rochester, you defected from the Sabres as well?
No, I was never a hockey fan, but then I moved to Canada, and I feel like it's like if you're not into hockey, you're doing something wrong here. So, and I started getting into it like last year during the pandemic, and then this year was kind of the right year to make a bet with Theo, actually, about who was going to take the Toronto-Montreal series. Made a lot of money off of Theo with that one.
Oh, that was you. Yeah, he was complaining about that quite a bit. That really got him.
Yeah, a whole $5. A whole $5 I lost there. So.
Wow. But I appreciate the Bills Mafia stuff, though. That's good. I think maybe all of us could appreciate that. Boucher, I don't know who you cheer for.
I'm a Packers guy, but I mean, being in Canada, sort of like... The Bills are right there, so you know I'm always cheering for the Bills as well, unless they're playing Green Bay. But
okay, so when we beat you, I'll bring the Allen jersey. When we beat Bomber, I'll bring the Suzuki jersey. Sounds good.
And it has to be like a photo op. Like, so wait, the other stipulation is this like one game bet, or is this like the whole thing bet? Like, we gotta also make that clear, because then. At the championship, you can take the picture and real rubbing the salt in the wounds, as they say.
What is the championship photo where they have to put the jersey on and the other ones are just hold it in front of?
Yeah, something like that. Or is like, because I don't think you're just going to bet one game, right? Like, you're betting the whole thing.
We do play each other
like,
a lot this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much again?
Theo?
4 times each, I think.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, we'll be very familiar with each other by the end of it.
Wow.
I mean,
you probably already know the plays, so.
It's better than nothing.
I mean, we haven't mentioned the Sens yet, but I mean, we can probably get some Sens jerseys. Like, no one likes the Sens here, so maybe we can just give the losers Sens jerseys.
Yeah, we can.
And, like, that's not the award. I think we can all agree on that,
right? Wait, you're like teammates.
I've been traded 4 times since 2017, and then the Sens have no one left, so we'll find a jersey. Nameless, maybe.
Wait, Bouch, no one on your team is a Sens fan? You're living in Ottawa?
I'm sure someone is. I can find a Sens fan for sure.
Wait, probably Jeremy. Didn't he work for them?
Would also be a loss in my
for the
scenario.
Senators.
So, yeah, he did work for the Sens for a while. So.
Until
we could get Jeremy fired.
Until he quit to work with Elevate.
Yeah, I would say he used to work with the Sens, but he's moved on to bigger and better.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
All right, so we got to finalize the stipulations. So then it'll be like an ironclad contract that's made verbally right here on the podcast officially. So, Kevin, you kind of brought it up, so I'm going to throw you on the hot seat because I know you don't mind that. So why don't you say the stipulations of the bet there, where you're going to be delivering those Suzuki and Allen jerseys to the losers? Like, is it one game, a couple games? What are we talking?
Yeah, we can take a photo. I'll bring the jerseys, and you guys scrounge something up, and we'll take a photo with whoever wins. And the championship one though will be fun. We got to think of something maybe a little bit more exciting, but
more skin in the game.
Yeah, something else there. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I'll bring the jerseys.
Bomber, you got your Leafs jerseys, you said, as well, kicking around.
Yeah, they're packed, ready to go.
Yeah, you don't display them right now. You put them away after that series, right?
I mean, I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah, they're for sure. Yeah, Cup's coming 2020.
Oh yeah, got the core back
for sure.
Yes, they're all protected from the expansion draft. We're good.
The saying that's been said by every Leafs fan since the year 1967 is we'll wait till next year, which is the thing to say. So hopefully next year, right? So
yeah, keep saying it.
Makes us feel better, Kate.
Hey, no, I've been a diehard Bills fan, so it's never won a Super Bowl. So
Jim Kelly years.
Try being a Canucks fan.
They were close, right? They're close in 2012 or something?
Close a few times, yes. Close a few times.
that should also be another bet is who will win the cup first, the Canucks, the Sens, the Canadians, or the Leafs. So that's another. Now we're adding more bets.
I can't remember who was pretty close to winning it this year. You guys remember?
We both didn't win. That's all that really matters.
I couldn't handle it if they won. I couldn't handle it.
I could. The city was already going crazy. Just with the one win that we had in the finals there, the city was like insane.
Yeah.
You guys celebrate like you won the cup.
What was the?
Yeah.
As Kucherov.
Yeah, one game, right? Kevin, were you in the celebrations though for that? Like, were you in?
No, I had like
downtown Montreal.
I was gearing up for the Royal stuff, but we went and watched the games, after. But no, I didn't go downtown. I used to live downtown, but no, that's looked intense. I think there was cop cars flipped. There was the Québécois were ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess we've settled it that there's going to be some jerseys being handed out here for losers. We got to still figure out what game specifically, but either way, fans, you're going to see some players wear jerseys of teams they really do not like. So that's pretty hyped up. And before we sign off here, any final words you want to share to the audience? And maybe you can talk about if they're a fan, like what's happening with your franchise in terms of what the fan situation will look like, because that's going to be different for each team, especially because you're in two different provinces. So, Kevin, what's the fan situation looking like in Montreal? Any final words for your Huckin A podcast debut?
Yeah, our first game is next weekend, Sunday, 1 o'clock against Ottawa. It's a home game, and we will be having fans. Pretty excited about that. I don't think it's full capacity, but we definitely have fans. Allez Montréal, let's go.
All right, Nick, I know you've been in the middle the whole time, but I'm sorry about that. But, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Better than last. I'll take middle this season. I like it. We won't have fans, so our first game is against Toronto on Saturday, the 24th, and then we'll be playing Montreal on the Sunday. So both of those you'll have to catch on AUDL TV since we won't have fans. But I think our next home game after that is, some 2-3 weeks later, early August, 7th or the 8th. At that point, the plan will be to have fans back in the stands. So should be able to catch the final 3 games for the Outlaws at home.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. And that also leads to an interesting question of how is your team prepare in terms of the doubleheader? Because you're playing, I believe at 6 p.m. Yours truly will be calling that game in the booth. And then you got to turn around and play Montreal at 1 the next day. So how are you preparing some of these young rookies who've never had to experience that?
Definitely a tough look. I wish our owner ran the schedule or something and could fit us in with a better one, but we're not going to complain about it. So I think we have so many young guys that we'll probably just split them up and get fresh legs for both days. I don't think any of the young kids can truly comprehend how grueling a 2-day weekend is without having done it before. So I think we're going to try to spread out the bodies as much as possible to keep everyone healthy for the long season that is to come.
For sure. And last but not least, Toronto.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure what our fan situation is. I think it's similar to Boucher. I think it's a wait and see, especially with varsity stadiums. So I think Jim's working on that. So we hope to see fans in the stands later in the season and watching the same fun brand of Toronto Rush Frisbee.
Yeah, that summarizes it. You can check out the content, the games on AUDL.tv, and we'll be updating you with games after every week as well in our news segment. So shout out Kevin, Nick, Geoff, thanks for coming on the podcast. We do appreciate it. And good luck to each of your teams. Obviously, one has to win and one has to be in the middle. And unfortunately, one got to be in the bottom wearing those jerseys, either Sens, Josh Allen, I don't know. But good luck with that. For those watching or listening, stay tuned for our Beaver Tales segment with Daniel Ngai. He's known as Eye to Eye or Eye to Ngai photography. So if you're in Ontario, you've probably seen him at a tournament with his camera. So, we're excited to hear his story, and you can stick around for that.
All Beavers unite.
Back to your Beaver Tales segment. No video today, but that's okay. We got a picture of the man himself, Daniel I. He's known for his photography skills, but today he's going to talk about his ultimate skills in his Beaver Tales. So, Dan, first of all, thank you for coming on the show and share with us your Beaver Tales story, your favorite Canadian ultimate memory there.
Oh, thanks, Theo, for having me, and thank you, Huckin. So it would definitely have to be Roy at regionals in 2018. We had a pretty good first day, came out a little short, had to go win every single game on the Sunday so game to go, game to go, game to go. Definitely a tough way to play. Started off with a good, easy game against Coat. It was a really good warm-up game. Got all our players' heads in the game, saying that we can do this. We're going to play well. I do remember some of our teammates getting a little ahead of themselves, popping some caffeine pills, maybe some chills. But other than that, first game, pretty smooth. Then we went to the game with Nads. That was definitely a nail-biter. Super talented team. Lots of experience against a pretty young team, headed up by Michael Huang, which is a pretty big name in Ultimate, I'd say, in Canada, if you know him around. Big lefty, comes from BC as well. Came to Coach Roy. Super good friend. Shout out to Michael Huang. What really well coached. It was a nail biter. A game definitely got chippy near the end, but we were able to pull it off by, I believe, 2 points. And we got to see an exciting game against Shrike and Boat. I believe the story behind that was if Shrike lost, they'd have to play us in the game to go. They only need to win one game on Sunday to make Nats. But unfortunately, Boat was able to pull it off. So we had a good hour bye before that game. And this was really reminiscent of 2017 as well, which is another regionals where Roy had to win every single game on Sunday to make Nats. So going into the game, I believe we started off really strong. At the half, we were up like 2 breaks. Felt good. Had a good speech. Leave everything on the line. For some reason, I think we dropped the ball somehow. Uncharacteristic drop, 2 turnovers, and they took the game to a tie. And finally, long, hard fought point. Time was running out. They got it to our goal line. Turnover. We got it a little bit past half. Final timeout. Used that. Videos on Instagram somewhere. You can find it, but it was amazing. Just tapped in. Crazy movement. Lots of times where you think that there'd be a poach D. And then we had one of our players throw this crazy cross-field huck to the corner of the end zone. Everybody was screaming, why? Until it was caught. And then when the observers obviously put their hands up, boom, they were ecstatic. And that was like Roy we deemed it Roy Worlds because for a C team in a touring system, it's pretty crazy to go into Nats that way. So that would definitely have to be my favorite moment.
Okay, so that's obviously epic and everything. Question is like when y'all were saying why when the huck went up. I mean, I've been there before. I've seen teammates and players I'm coaching make some questionable decisions, and I'm like, no, why did you do that? Did you not see the person going, or did the person make an unreal catch?
I would have to say it was not the most safe play. We're all among that. Okay, let's play safe. But that was like, let's make it to win. It was a good look though. Not gonna lie, I watched the replay a couple times. Defender poached off. It was a clear look. He's a great thrower. But it's a spicy way to end, I would say.
Yeah, we love spice here on the pod, so this is great. It's great.
That's true. I do bring it up, and congrats to Roy both in 2017 when they took out my club team back in the first round of their 3 straight having to win to go to Nats. So I've definitely felt the sting of the Roy Worlds right there, Daniel. So I know what it feels like. But what was your national experience like then? Because you played both in 2017, 2018. What was it like just to be at nationals knowing that you had to work really hard to get there?
Oh, it was unreal. When we got our player cards and like, okay, hey, we've made it. Because both teams, I'd say 2017, we had a bit more vets on the team. A couple good pickups. But 2018 was a completely fresh squad. Maybe some returning players from the previous year. But it was their first time at Nats, right? So it was an unreal experience. We came in knowing that we were the underdogs, had a lot of great experiences playing a lot of great teams. Unfortunately, for 2018, it was a bunch of rain delays. Didn't have the best start. but we were able to pull off some wins and some close games. I'd say we'd had the most fun playing, I believe it's Whitefish. Tons of close games against them. I believe they're up from BC as well. Made some good friends there. But I think overall we were a bit disappointed with how we played, but the experiences will always be there, yeah.
I mean, Danie, I think that's a good story for today. It's just, you see some of when you see games in the U.S., college regionals and for nationals, they get like periscoped or on Twitter and stuff. But this game, Dan, was not talked about at all. I remember watching this vividly. I was in like the back end zone there, kind of like in the shade after we had lost and our season or our games were done. And I remember commentating this game with my friends and we were talking about it. And then we saw the throw go up to Wallace and we're like, oh man, this is going to be a tough play or just an interesting throw. And he caught it and you were to nationals. So I remember seeing that vividly in person, watching this Beaver Tail unfold in front of my eyes.
Yeah, I'm crazy. Like, it's an anniversary date on my calendar now. I just watch it once a year.
That's awesome. How did it feel to be playing and not just photographing the ultimate?
Oh man, it's definitely different. I feel like just because I've been taking photos for so long, but only ended up playing like I'd say 3 or 4 years afterwards. The fact is like I'm still fresh. I would say I'm still new and fresh to ultimate. So I haven't really felt that burnout or like that, oh, we're always playing all these tournaments yet. And I'm always excited to play. So I'd say being able to be in the scene for so long, but not actually playing and getting to meet like a bunch of cool people, a lot of experienced people who can teach me how to actually play ultimate as opposed to just standing on the sidelines, has been a great way to get into the sport.
Yeah. Well, I want to say thank you for that story because I don't really know much about the teams in Ontario and kind of how that all runs down because in BC it seems like it's always the same teams going to nationals. It seems like it's a little bit more cutthroat where y'all are from. Is that the case? That it's always close?
Oh yeah, I would definitely say so. In Toronto, there's just so many different teams and I would say just like some pickup teams as well, and the talent is just wide, right? There's always the ABC team, so we have Go, GT Roy, you have out in Ottawa, you have Phoenix, you have Firebird, Shrike, I believe. I think the Firebird's an old name.
Shrike now.
And then you have Boat and you have Co, which is a relatively new system as well. And then sometimes you get pickup teams. You always have Too Bad, who's full of experienced players, always just trying to have fun at regionals and compete. And like I said, Nads was there. There's just wild cards that sometimes you don't know who you're gonna face, and you can just have that one good game or one bad game that could cost you the ticket, right? So I'd say a little wild wide east, if that's how you say it.
Wild East. Wow, that makes it a lot more fun because it's always like, okay, yeah, these teams you're automatically going to be going, but to actually be able to train for something like that where there is something really big on the line must be like it's a classic sport experience. Like it's always a privilege to be able to play in those games, whether you win or lose. It's a privilege to have those experiences. So I really appreciate you sharing that with us and everyone who listens to the podcast. And if you want to hear more from Daniel, I know Theo is going to be heading over with him to the subscriber only section, and he's going to be in the hot seat, and they're going to dive in a little bit more probably about their own playing histories. I think they're just going to chit chat. So it's going to be good. So if you don't subscribe to UltiWorld, you should do that. Anyways, thank you so much, Daniel, for being on our Beaver Tales. And if you out there want to be featured in the Beaver Tales, it's a good time. We have fun. Hit us on social, DM us, fill out our Google form, and we'll get you on the pod as well. So thanks again, Daniel.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, Beaver party tonight.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. Next week, we have our first team origin story where we are going to be having the Bunny Thugs on the podcast out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Say that 3 times fast. I can't kid you. And we're going to be learning all about their team and what makes them awesome. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I'm excited for this segment. I know we did the Canada Classics, which we're definitely going to have again.
Yeah.
And now we're doing the origin stories where we hear about, okay, cool name, where did it come from, all those things, who are the founders, who are the key players that were helped the team get to where they are today. So Bunny Thugs, we're going to have them on next week. I'm not going to do a big social plug today. You know what to do. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Email, you know it all. So make sure you do that.
Like, subscribe.
Exactly, like a YouTuber would say. So we appreciate the support. Danie, that's the thing I'll end with is I appreciate just hearing from people that say, hey, I was just in the car before this practice and I was listening to your voice. That's kind of cool. So we appreciate it. If you want to share more of that, we'd like that. Right, Danie? I think you like it when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I just listened to your podcast.
It freaks me out a little bit. I'm like, oh, don't expose me like that. I say some really weird things on here. But yeah, no, it's nice. It's nice. Keep it up.
Yeah. Send the love and support. We do appreciate it. So we'll see you next week.
Hey, this is Lance Blackstar from Saint Jean sur Richelieu with the Mixed Squad Battleship, and you're listening to Huckin A Podcast, your coast-to-coast guide for all things Canadian Ultimate.